When I started college, I struggled a lot. Sometimes I would stay up late and then have class the next day at 8 a.m. I would come to class and be so distracted by sleep deprivation that I may as well have stayed in my bed. And living in a foreign country and having to compete with the locals didn't help me at all. At the time I spoke barely any French, but I still had to use it every single day to study engineering and doing complex things. But then I discovered resistance training and I started taking this. Now you've probably heard of creatine monohydrate. This is basically a supplement that athletes use to enhance performance, and it's mostly been studied in muscles. You see, creatine is basically a gas station dude. You may have all the fuel in the world, but if you don't have the gas station and the guy who is gonna fill up your car, you're not gonna be able to use the fuel. And creatine basically fulfills this purpose in your body. It helps convert ADP into ATP, which is the source of energy for most of the processes in your body. And this is why it's usually used to enhance athletic performance. It helps your muscles create energy faster. It makes energy more accessible. But here's the thing, your brain needs energy too, and in fact, it's one of the most energivore organs in your body. And your brain, and in general, your whole nervous system is using the same phosphocreatine system for its energy. So you may actually consider taking creatine for your brain. A recent meta-analysis from 2024 found that creatine supplementation may actually improve working memory, information processing speed, and attention. And it also found that it is most effective under conditions of metabolic stress. And metabolic stress is basically when your body is struggling to produce enough energy to function. This is, for example, when you're sleep deprived, your brain loses a lot of its memory, a lot of attention, because it cannot supply enough ATP. And this is when creatine monohydrate comes into work at full power. One study has found that a single high dose of around 0.35 grams per kilogram of body weight can help maintain cognitive function, working memory and processing speed during periods of acute sleep deprivation, which is basically nerd speak for creatine making you less miserable when you're sleep deprived. Now there is one caveat to this. Your muscles don't synthesize their own creatine. The creatine for muscles usually comes from liver, spleen and kidneys. But the brain is a different story. Brain produces its own creatine, which means that it doesn't need to take it from other parts of the body. And this means that blood-brain barrier does not need to allow creatine to enter your brain. And these studies have found that the blood-brain barrier is indeed not very permeable for creatine. While muscle creatine content increased by 20% from standard dose supplementation, the same thing didn't happen to the brain. The brain only got around 6% increase. But these 6% were enough to create significant improvement in cognitive ability, especially among populations that don't consume that much dietary creatine. For example, vegetarians who don't eat meat usually don't get that much creatine from their food. So when they started taking creatine monohydrate as a supplement, they've seen much better increase in cognitive functions. So if you don't eat meat, this very cheap supplement can be an absolute game changer for your productivity. Now I made this video because I know that engineers often have stressful jobs. Sometimes they don't sleep well. And when you don't sleep well, as we have proven today, creatine monohydrate supplementation may drastically change your ability to perform. I think having a brain that has functional working memory is crucial for success. Now if you want to take creatine, the standard dose is around 5 grams per day. But this is for bodybuilders and this dose is only gonna show results after weeks if you didn't take any prior creatine. But if you front-loaded your creatine intake by taking around 20 grams of creatine a day for the first week, you may see results much faster, as fast as around 2 weeks. And as I've said, this supplement is completely safe. You already have in your body, you get dietary creatine from your food. So it's been proven, it's been widely studied that it doesn't have health consequences unless you have like a really major kidney disease. Still, I'm not a physician, so if you have any doubts, you can always go and consult your doctor first. That's what I've been doing. I took around 20 grams of creatine divided into 5 smaller doses for the first week, and then I switched to just 5 grams a day. And I've seen real results in the gym and also with my cognitive ability, so I think it's really helpful, especially if you're not eating enough meat. But if you're eating meat, it can still improve your brain function. So yeah, this was quite a short video, but I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you next time.